A user wants to access various resources on the domain. The user account is placed into one or more groups, and each group itself may also be a member of other groups. So we end up with the idea of a tree of group membership for a user. Each resource specifies a set of groups that it wants to allow or deny, and these groups may have other groups nested inside them too. So by checking whether there are any matches between these two trees of groups, the resource knows whether to allow or deny access. That's the high-level operation. To understand how we can enhance this process to implement two-factor authentication permissions, we need to go one step deeper and learn about how this idea of group membership tree is actually implemented. When a user account authenticates to a domain controller, a logon session is established, and this session contains information about the groups that this user is a member of. The DC walks to each branch of the user's group tree and makes a single, flat list of each group's internal name, the security identifier, or SID. In a similar fashion, the resource also makes a flat list of SIDs that represents its group tree of allowed and denied permissions. The flattening of these trees into lists makes permission checking more efficient. The two lists of SIDs just get compared together and checked for matches. This is much faster than trying to compare two whole permission trees each time. Next, we'll see what this has to do with two-factor authentication. Each time a user logs in, no matter what credentials they provide, smart card or YubiKey or just a password, the list of SIDs will be the same. This means there's not any way for domain resources to tell whether this user session was authenticated with one or two factors. But since AuthLite runs as part of the domain controller's logon process, we have the ability to modify this list of SIDs when the logon session is being created. This user is a member of the AuthLite default group. When they log on with password only, their session contains the SID of the AuthLite default group, as you would expect. But when they authenticate with two factors, AuthLite replaces the SID of the default group with the SID for the two-factor tag group. By specifying these groups in access control lists and group policy, domain resources can tell what method the user logged in with.